got this very cool plant called Moringa growing in our garden. It's originally from the Himalayas, but it grows anywhere from hot to tropical environments. They call it the drumstick tree or the miracle tree, and it's a big deal in places like Africa, Asia, and South America. Moringa leaves are super nutritious, packed with good stuff like vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. It's not just a health thing. Moringa leaves are great in salads, soups, stews, and omelettes. The seeds have oil in them for cooking and looking fancy, and the roots and pods taste great in lots of different dishes too. We live in Perth, Western Australia, and our soil is very infertile, full of sand and limestone. Still, Moringa grows really well here. In this video, we pick, dry and powder Moringa leaves, then make gel capsules that you can eat as a nutritious supplement. Check it out!
We've got the chilies, which we'll powder and use in our cooking. We've got the Siberian motherwort, which is an awesome medicinal herb. We've got moringa, which is a superfood, extremely nutritious. And we've got pati, which has another name, but in Cambodia we call it pati. So for today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to blend up these three, but what I'll do is I'll show you the blending of this, and then we'll take this one and we'll put it into gel caps, so it's real easy to take. I mean, you can use the powder in soups and in all sorts of other things. You can also use the leaves in omelettes and soups and different things as well. But we don't use it all the time in all of our cooking, but we'd like to get a bit of moringa into us most days. So an easy way to do that is to stick them into gel caps. You just pop in the morning and you're done. So let's do this. All right, I'll just get these out of the way. And we'll go straight to the moringa. Now I'm using an Optimum blender here, which is, I don't know, bought it online, super strong, pretty noisy, but it gets through pretty much anything. So let me stick my glasses on and see how much of this I can get in without making a mess. That's pretty good. Lots of these leaves have fallen off the twigs, the stems, so that's pretty good. I might just stick with that much for the moment, and then if that's working well, I'll add some more. It gets very powdery and quite dusty, so it's kind of nice to be able to do it all in one hit if you can, but the blender is getting pretty full. That's doing a great job. You can see that's reduced all the way down to a pretty small amount. That's not even enough to do, it's probably enough to do about 50 capsules, but I'll put the rest of this in, we'll blend it all the way down, then we'll make our capsules. Alright, that's great. It's a nice thin powder now. We'll let that settle right down, and that will, I reckon, be enough to make our capsules. Okay, so we've got our dried powder here, the moringa powder, and we're going to make some gel caps. So I'll just walk you through this super quickly, and then we'll do it. what we've got here is a bag of empty gel caps. You can pick them up online for, I don't know how much. They're not very expensive. Get them on Amazon or eBay or something. You've got a spring-loaded base plate here. And the way it works is this. I'll talk you through the functions of these different pieces as we go. We've got the spring-loaded base plate. Then we've got what's called, in this case, a frame plate. I think it's called different things on different models. But this basically sits over the top of this. Now you'll see the spring-loaded plate here does not spring when this is on. That's because this has no holes here to slide down the screws. So you pour your capsules in without the lids, pour them in, get them all into place. Then you take this off and you put this one on, okay? And this is just used to stop stuff spilling. So you get a few spoons full of your powder, use your little squeegee here, squeegee it all on. Then you remove this one and then put that one aside, and then we've got to put the caps together. So the caps, we use this one once again, the frame plate, and that will go over this piece here. Now this time, instead of having the screws to locate it, it has some little ridges here, so you can just lock that in. Pour in your caps, make sure they're all in the right way. Then you remove this, put the orange piece on with the recess in the top. That sits over the top of this. You hold that together and flip it over and put it on top of your spring-loaded plate, which has your capsules sitting underneath it, and then you squeeze that down, and it squeezes the top on top of the capsule. Now there is this piece here that I didn't show you. It's a tamper, which if you wanted to, once you've filled up your capsules, you can use this to just tamp it down a bit and get a bit more stuff in. So we will walk through the process. The first thing we need to do is separate our capsules into the capsule and the cap. Okay, so I am going to put my capsules in this one and the lids in this one. But the first thing I'm going to do is open up my bag of gel caps and tip it in there so I can easily access them. Once I got them in there, I can go through. This takes a little while, but it doesn't actually take that long. You get a routine happening. Break it in two halves. There's the capsule, there's the lid. Drop them in. There's 1, 2, 3, 100. All right, let's push these out of the way for a minute. Put those aside. Bring in our body plate and our frame plate. Grab our capsules and sprinkle them on. Going to put my hand over here just to stop them spilling out, but you'll get the picture of what's going on. So you can see most of them, quite a lot of them have just dropped into the holes. So that's pretty good. Some of them haven't. We'll go through and we'll put them in by hand. Doesn't take long. Just got to make sure you get all the holes filled, otherwise you'll end up with a bit of a mess. Let me see, there's another one. Now occasionally you get one that goes in upside down, and that can be a bit of a pain. So I'll show you what I do to fix that. I've got 2 in there that are flipped, so the round side is up. There we are. That's how I do it. It's a little bit of mucking around, but it's not that big a deal. There we go, number 2. All right, so they are now ready to have some powder dropped in. So we use this plate here to stop stuff running over the edges. So there's my powder. There's a few stringy bits in there from some of the twigs, and I might need to pull some of them out, but if they fall into place, I won't worry about it. Alright, so now get my little squeegee, and you can see all my hair is going into the capsules. A few little extra bits of stalk there, which I can just, as well as a bit of extra of the mix, the powder. So what I can do is I can just brush that off into my container. What I could also do is perhaps separate some of this, but it doesn't really seem to affect the way the powder goes into the capsules anyway, so I'm not going to worry about that. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm just cleaning off my plate here, the body plate, and what I could then do is compress these. Now, to compress them, all you do is you take the tamper, you line them up with all the capsules, the middle of them, and you press down. Then you can put a bit more powder in, squeegee that out again, and then put your caps on. But I'm not going to worry about tamping it down because I think that's enough. Moringa's a super nutritious plant, and because we've dried it and powdered it, it's actually all the nutrients are going to be in a really concentrated form. So I'm not going to worry about that. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I'll put that aside. I'll put my powder aside, and actually you'll see here, I've hardly touched the surface there, so there's probably room there for, probably enough there for about 500 capsules. Next thing I do is we grab this plate, and we put this is called the capping plate, and we put our frame plate back on there, and once again, this time we grab our lids or our caps, and we pop them on, and it's the same routine. You basically pick that up, give it a little jiggle around, and the cap should fall into place pretty quickly. Some will miss the mark, and what I do there is I just, because these are a little bit harder to grab hold of for me, I just use my little cocktail fork, and it makes it real easy. I just slide it in the top and shift them across to a hole where they belong. And once again, we will find that there are a few that have gone in upside down, and I just grab that one that's upside down, gently lift it out and flip it. Oops, there we go. There's another one. There's another one. Whoop. There we are. And we just go through, tidy our plate up before we start capping. All right, now that we've got all of those in, we can take the frame plate off once again. There's all our caps. They need to be flipped over in order to seal. And the way we do that is we take our middle plate and we press that gently over the top. And then we'll bring our capsules back over and we pick up our middle plate, and you'll see here they've got these little edges. So we've got to grab those edges, flip it over, and gently place it, or accurately place it, over the screws. Once you've done that, you've got to jiggle it around a little bit. It's a little bit of mucking around to get it right. You basically just squeeze it, make sure you've got it nice and flat all the way around. And then when we take this off, we should have, well, look, we've got a whole bunch of capsules. There's a few missing, but they are to be found over here, which is not a big deal. Let's pop those couple of capsules out. There they are. We can now take the middle plate, and all of our capsules are in the middle plate. Flip it over. We've now got 100 Moringa capsules, which is pretty awesome. What I tend to do is I just go through and squeeze them all together, one at a time, just to make sure they've got the best seal possible. Doesn't take long, just pick it up, squeeze, pick it up, squeeze, pick it up, squeeze. And there's 100 Moringa capsules for you. Good to go. Don't forget your desiccant to make sure everything stays nice and dry. So there you go, that's it. We've got a whole bunch of capsules sitting in a jar with desiccant in. They'll keep for a long time. If you've got any nutritional or medicinal herbs in your garden and you think popping a pill is going to be an easier way of getting it into your body because you don't really use it that much in your cooking, it's a pretty good way of doing it.